Good evening and welcome everybody to a little bit of a delayed WR Legacy Division finale in Miami. That's right. I say it's a little bit delayed. Actually, we're about 5 days early, but that's to make sure you guys get the action and don't miss the esports action at the end of the week because that is heating up, especially what happened last night in the WRPC finale. That was incredible in itself, and late drama costing one of the drivers the championship, and I won't tell you who. I'll let you go away and watch that before everything all kicks off, but make sure you continue watching this race. I am joined for the finale like I have been for the majority of the season. Callum, welcome along. It's going to be absolute cracker, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here for the finale of the season. It certainly is a last dance. There's not a hell of a lot on the line tonight as well, so a lot of drivers can kick back, relax, and yeah, it should be a pretty good race tonight.
Now, there's a little bit of, I suppose, sad news out of all this. LCR Leopard has announced his retirement. It will be the end of his league racing career. He's going to stick around with Shazoo from the sounds of things to help them out, but it's such a shame for him to, well, for us to lose such a talented and incredible league racing driver who's been around for so long now, but he's got a chance of cementing Shazoo's third place. And we've got the standings up on the screen at the moment. They're 4 points clear of Visceral Racing, and I'm sure he's going to do everything he can to really push and, well, make sure it's all there. And all he needs is 1 point, and he will be second place in the standings as well. That is just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. It shows you how good Leopard has been this season. He's a great driver. As you said, he certainly will be missed. But yeah, he's got a lot riding on it tonight. It might be his last race, but he certainly can't be taking it easy. When the few drivers tonight, they definitely do have a little bit on the line, as you mentioned. Second place in the driver standings is up for grabs. Only 1 point he needs to get tonight as Scyther isn't racing. And then that pretty formidable battle for P3 in the constructor Shazoo. They've been fantastically on this season. I think they were 40 points back a couple rounds ago in America. I say America and Kota are back again here in America, and they found themselves, what, 3-4 points ahead. So it's fantastic stuff from Shazoo, from Leopard as well, and his teammate as well. I think Piccolo, yeah, it is Piccolo tonight. It isn't, it's Latifi, never mind. Shazoo Latifi, he's got some big shoes to fill as well, because yeah, Shazoo, big night ahead for them.
Definitely is. But Brazil last time out on Friday, not so long ago, Latifi actually came in all guns blazing, got some really good points, I believe, for the Shazoo team, if I remember rightly. I'm just trying to remember where he came. I think, he did end up with, no, he came up with 10 points. So great little point scoring for him, and it's going to be an interesting one. They're going out and doing their first set on the intermediate tyres around here, so we've got a little bit more time to speak. It's not the only championship battle that we've got going down to the wire. Velux somehow still have 5th place in this championship, with not being here since round 5, so it shows how many points they scored at the beginning of this. But Novus, FGE and Bunga and ERL all have a chance tonight of jumping that team. And Novus, though, I mean, Amin has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He needs to score 8 points tonight to make sure they finish above them.
Yeah, they do. It's maybe not the biggest of awards finish from top 5, but I think for Novice they'd certainly be happy with that. A couple good rounds of points and in the last few weeks, and yeah, they should be pretty happy with how their season was went. Obviously, maybe P6 isn't what they're aiming for, but yeah, the podium a couple rounds ago as well will probably be a highlight. So yeah, if Novus could end it pretty strongly here tonight, I think they could yeah, say this season has been a success.
Now, one last thing to really go on board with. It was decided last time out, and that was FRA finally cementing the fact that they are the champions of this season. And Otis Lawrence did that in quite decent style, to be perfectly honest, and winning the race, winning the sprint race, and getting fastest lap to boot. Pretty much a golden driver, and he's been incredible throughout the season. And I'm looking at their stats, and they've only not finished on the podium once this season, and that was Canada a few weeks ago. And that just makes for amazing reading, really.
Yeah, it does. I don't want to do disservice to the rest of FRA, but it's been the Otis Lawrence show this season, hasn't it? We've obviously got that the kind of bizarre situation where Otis Lawrence has nearly outscored PSR, who's second in the standings. So I think it shows you just how good Otis Lawrence has been. His teammates have also been there to pick up the points when he's not really been at the races. But for basically all around this season, Otis Lawrence has been fantastic. The only one that sticks out is probably that slightly bizarre round at Canada when we've seen, unfortunately, Otis Lawrence crash out. But other than that, he's been unstoppable all season. And yeah, it was a long time coming, that championship last week, but yeah, it was thoroughly deserved.
Now let's get some action on the go. Let's go on track and have a look at FGE Halo as he's coming down this back straight. It's a bit of a weird one, this Miami Grand Prix. Lots of walls, similar to Monaco, Baku, Singapore. It's certainly a street circuit style here in Miami, but it's produced some great racing. I remember WR Tier 1, towards the beginning of the season, was absolutely... was a cracker of a race, and didn't go all Otis Lawrence's way to begin with, but he did start to stretch his legs and get away a little bit towards the end. Let's go on board with ERL Dodo as he comes through. I believe that's the long left-hander of 7 and 8, where we've seen a few drivers go a bit nuts, and it will stop rambling on in a minute. I believe we had TRL Martin here and got beached on a curb. So and got disqualified. So things can happen at this track.
Yeah, they certainly can. This part of the section that Dodo's coming through now is very bizarre. It's probably very unique compared to the rest of the calendar, especially coming up here, coming up the hill into this really tricky chicane. He's got a car in front of him. It's so slow. He's got a wall on his inside as well. Then you can't take too much curb as well. Then you're trying to get your car back over to the right for the left-hander to set you up for this straight. This is a pretty long straight as well. A lot of overtakes will be seen here in the race as well, which is probably your prime positions to try and get any overtaking into. You're probably the last real corner of the track. It's turn 17. It's a hairpin heavy braking zone, and Dodo's done it pretty nicely. He's spot that braking point. Third gear. Otis Lawrence, interestingly, retiring from the session. So it looks like he might be starting from the back of the grid. But Dodo, he comes across the line now. It's a 1 minute 27.7, which takes him top of the timings.
Yeah, it's a respectable time for him. Let's see who could be on a lap time. Is Halo going again? I feel like Halo could be going again, but then his timing is 18 seconds down. So let's not say that. Where's Levy? Just ahead of him on track, round that hairpin of 17 into 18 and 19. A little bit of a nice flowing SE section we've got on the track here. And down to start his lap time, I believe. So a little bit of pressure on FGE as well, because they've got an option of getting into that 5th place as well, ahead of Novus, because they're only a point behind Novus. So both Novus and themselves are going to be battling away. Could we see some spicy action between the two of those teams as well?
Yeah, we certainly could. I think they also need to look behind them as well. It's so close in there. They've got BRT and DRL, who are only 2 and 3 points behind them respectively. So yeah, it's actually quite a lot in the line down in that neck of the championship. Obviously, nothing like prize money or anything like that on the line, but I think it's nice to be in the top 5, top 6. So yeah, they'll be giving it their all tonight. Levi Martins, I think this is quite incredible to see him in this level of race. And he races normally in Tier 4, I'm pretty sure. So it's a huge step up to what Levi's used to in his week-to-week racing. But he's coped pretty well so far. He doesn't look out of his depth. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see how he does tonight, because I think yeah, he could be a real prodigy for that FGE team.
Yeah, time will tell. He's apparently quickest as Sector 2, if you believe the timing screens. It could be. But in the chat, Leopard to win his final race. I'd love to see LCR Leopard take victory here, but Visceral have brought along VSR Smokey. Smokey is definitely going to be battling away and trying to beat LCR Leopard tonight and try and take 3rd place away from Team Suzu. There's a lot of pressure on Team Suzu and Visceral tonight, because I think I believe the top 3 are guaranteed a spot in next season Legacy Division event as well. So not only is there monetary value, I think it's also prestige value.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, maybe I'm a little bit stupid, but have FRA only fielded the one driver tonight? Have I missed something there? I don't know if I've missed something pretty obvious, but yeah, I thought it was interesting. We've only got Otis Lawrence that's driving for the champions tonight. I'm not sure if there's a race ban in there somewhere or something that I'm not aware of, but yeah, just thought it was something quite interesting to point out.
I missed that as well. I was expecting it to be one of the lower teams, because it's been one of the lower teams that haven't fielded a driver for a while. But yeah, you're right. It's very much FRA, Otis Lawrence on his own, and sometimes it's felt like that a little bit this season. There's 4 races this season where he's the one that only has, well, actually 3 races where he's the one that's only got points, and 4 races where the second driver hasn't received any points at all. So that's just how crazy this has been for FRA this season.
Yeah, it certainly is. You stole my joke there, unfortunately. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, yeah, it just shows you how good Otis has been. And, you know, FRA, they can kick their feet up. They've won the Constructors. Otis has won this driver a long time ago as well. So, yeah, they can celebrate. There's nothing really on the line for them. They're just happy that it's been such a dominant season, such a comfortable season. So, yeah, it's happy days for them. Otis Lawrence, as I mentioned very briefly earlier on, looks like he'll be starting from the back of the grid as well. We've seen that happen in WR Tier 1, so yeah, round tier as well, not an easy track for it, so yeah, it should be good to see how Otis tries to progress through this field as well.
It appears that Plackey has had a power cut, so he will not be racing because of that reason, so that's a shame for the FRA team, so unfortunate there. But Smokey then, coming through this little bit of a tight section, this is really tight, this bit between 11 to 16, it must be absolute nightmare for some of these drivers to get through there, especially people on the pad, because it's just constant. It feels like that there. But WR Maris puts himself into P4 for the time being. But Smokey nearly finishing this lap.
Yeah, it is Smokey, but looking at least to try and get himself into that top 3 driver at his standards. But let's see now. He comes across the line now, and it is. There you go. It's provisional fastest lap at 1 minute 27.151. So yeah, good lap from VSR Smokey.
That's an incredibly close time between him and Passy. That's a great time for Mete Passy. So congratulations to him to get himself into that for the time being. But Shazoo Latifi has responded to the VSR team and has thrown himself P3 for the time being. LCR Leopard is on a lap as well. So for the time being, let's see what Amin can do as he darts down the last few corners. Across the line, it's only P5 for him for the time being. LCR Leopard, where are you? You are down the back straight, coming down all the way into turn 17. What can he do in response to Smokey? Because Smokey's leading the way at the moment.
Yep, it's his last ever first lap in a sense. Let's see what he can do. Here he comes across the line. He'll be looking to try and be safely through in the next session, and that's exactly what he's done. He puts himself P4 at 1 minute 27.361. And
there goes Wilson as well. Wilson throwing in a lap time to P3. Pretty safe. I think anything 27.4s are safe right now. Down to turn 17 comes Harv. Actually, he's invalidated, so he won't be coming down to turn 17 on a lap. So apologies for that one. EOL Farfo then coming through the start of the second sector now. This long, windy bit. It reminds me of Baku. No, what's Jeddah? I got them two mixed up somehow. Jeddah, it's just that long windy bit through into the final corner. I'm not sure why it reminds me of it, because it doesn't get raced at night here, so enough about that. Farfo down the back straight now into sector 3. This sector 3 is quite a quick sector, isn't it?
yeah, it certainly is, in complete contrast to the really slow and sluggish section of the end of sector 2. So now it's just foot flat to the floor. Then you're trying to get the car stop for the final corner. This could definitely make or break your lap to this hairpin, and you're on the throttle as early as you can. A slight left kink and a right kink as well. So end off the lap for Farfo. Let's see what Latini can do. It's a 1 minute 27.717 ahead of his teammate, but that might just not be enough.
Especially with a couple of the BRT drivers can sometimes hook that lap together. Josh Gill showed on Friday, that he was able to put himself through quite high into the qualifying. Harv as well. We haven't seen the best of him yet. He's invalidated on his last lap, so we'll have to wait and see. But with 5 minutes left of qualifying 1, it looks like with Choco on pole and, well, the two VSR drivers are leading the way currently and setting the pace.
Yes, they look really up for it tonight. They know what's at stake. They know they really need to get an act together to try and get that top 3 in the constructors. But yeah, really setting the standards. Choco, 4 times clear of the rest of the field, really, as setting the precedent early on. PSR Connor, he's retired from the session. It's good to see him, though, flying the flag for PSR, but he's happy with his time. He is obviously confident to think that time is good enough to send him through into the next qualifying round.
So at the moment, the 4 drivers that will be relegated out of this Q1, I guess the best way to describe it is Halo, Meatball, and Justin. Obviously, Otis Lawrence, who is deciding to start at the back for this race. But Halo is on a lap, just about to finish. 4 minutes 20 remaining, and Halo puts himself P8 for the time being. That is a very, very respectable time for the FGE driver.
Yeah, certainly is. He'll be happy with that. Only 4 minutes left on the clock, as you said. So, yeah, that could be enough for Halo. It will be very tight to see if he gets through, but I think he should be pretty pleased with that one. And then, yeah, only time will tell to see if that time is enough.
Yeah, WR Maris is just about to start a lap time. Yellow flags because I believe that is Farfo going slow into the hairpin. And, yeah, definitely time will tell to see how this one will pan out. Through the hairpin, very slow for the Alpine driver. Picks up the pace really quickly as he heads on through into the start-finish straight around turn 19. DRS wide open now, and he goes over to the left-hand side of the track to get as much of the track as possible. Very much an esports line, but misses the apex at turn 1.
Yep, never how you want to start off your lap. It's yeah, a crucial bit to how it always goes. So yeah, you'll be looking to try and recover it now through the rest of this lap time, but it's a really long lap. A lot can be won and made, especially through this pretty tight and twisty section. It reminds me of the end of Vietnam. Back in the day, if anyone remembers that track, the end of that section, that's what a little bit reminds me of. And then that long left-hander can be pretty painful, and then on to the back straight. And yeah, he's about 15 thousandths up at the moment, so yeah, he'll be looking to try and find a little bit more time in the end of this sector.
Yeah, there's that turn 1 might have cost him big time, but into turn 11, really tricky, and at turn 11 he misses as well. A little bit, but struggling a little bit at the moment is Maris, but there's a session leave for Choco there. That's not ideal. Hopping over the curb is Maris, a little bit too much maybe at turn 15, but back onto the power pretty quickly. You can't push too hard out of 16 because there's a wall right there, and it could end your race prematurely if you do.
Yeah, it certainly can be. It's a really tough section, that. It's just about getting the balance right from pushing it and just not hitting the wall. It's really tight and twisty, but at the end of the day, that's where your lap time can be won or lost. But I think my he wasn't too bad through there. And yeah, I think this time we'll get him out the top 15 for the time being, and there it is, a P9 at the time, for the time, 27.407. So yeah, he'll be fairly happy with how that one panned out.
Yeah, not bad at all. I wonder if that is Josh on a lap just coming down as well. So we're getting some retirements now. Wilson, Connor, Harv, Passy all happy with their lap time. Leopard has decided to go out again. I wonder how this one will pan out really for Leopard, but it looks like he's on a set of used tyres, so maybe just getting himself used to the track a little bit more. But BRT Justin around the final few corners and across the line is slower than his lap time. He's not really hooked that lap together at all, so maybe he knew it was going to be slower and decided to save some ERS. Is Mertens on a lap time? I don't think he is. Josh Gill is down on his lap time. Amin then, maybe. Can Amin do anything on his one? Because he's agonisingly close to the drop zone.
Yeah, he certainly is, and a driver of his calibre, he'll be looking to be yeah, well clear of a scenario like this. But that delta time was looking pretty good as well. I think it was just under 5/10 up for the Haas man, so yeah, it's looking pretty promising so far. Just got really one last corner, the hairpin at turn 17, braking around about that 100-metre board, but oh, it's just a little bit too wide for his liking. That's definitely going to compromise a little bit of his time there coming out of that final corner. It's a pretty short line run to the line, at least that is only benefit there for him, and that's P7 at 27.3, and that should be him pretty safely through.
Is ERL Dodo, is he just about to... He's just finished a lap and he's put himself P8. So these 27 fours could be in trouble. Latifi in that section himself in 12th place was typical. He's just about to finish a lap time, but he's down on his lap time, which is not ideal. And it sounds like... It doesn't sound like he's going as quickly as he should either. Yeah, he's massively down on his time, so he must be starting again. Levy, going into the wall at turn 16. A huge hit on the back end there. Meatball, I don't think is just starting. So there's still a lot to be written with 3 seconds of qualifying to go.
Yeah, there is a lot of drivers backing off, trying to go again. I think Levi, his session might be over. I'm pretty sure I've seen him back out, but we'll just keep an eye on him coming at this final corner. But yeah, by the looks of his time, looks like he's well off it. He dives off into the pit lane. So unfortunately, Levi Martins is out of qualifying. I think it's maybe Meatborough now is only saving grace. I think Josh as well are the two that are on the lap, and I think these two guys could be looking to try and get himself out of that bottom 5.
Yeah, typical as well, being well, I think he is on that drop zone marker, 27.7. Farfo won't be going any quicker. Justin puts himself P13 on his second lap. Leopard did improve on those used softs, and typically has invalidated his lap time as soon as I go on board with someone, and this is crazy to think. Amin has retired. He's happy with his lap. So Josh, is he possibly the next driver to set a lap time? Because he is in trouble if he doesn't make this stick. It's a 20... Yeah, it's on the mark. Can he get himself through into the next round? It's a 27.7. He just pushes himself above and dropping typical into that drop zone.
Yeah, Meatborough as well. Really messy lap from himself. A few pretty big mistakes in turn 14 and 15. That pretty awkward chicane. And also he's missed the apex completely at the final corner. So yeah, unfortunately for the BRT driver, his qualifying session is unfortunately over.
Now, this is something we don't say very often, especially in the Legacy division. Otis Lawrence is starting from the back of the grid. Meatball, Levy and Typical out of the qualifying 1. So qualifying 2 isn't too far away, but Visceral Racing are looking like they are coming out all guns blazing tonight. Choco and Smokey, top of the leaderboards, setting the pace for the time being, and Team Shazoo have a little bit of work on their hands.
Yeah, they certainly do. VSR have came out the blocks, absolutely flying. Choco, you just look at those timings, 4/10 clear at the top. And yeah, VSR, they're certainly up for this one tonight, and they're certainly gunning for that 3rd place.
So there we have it. Here's the timing screen. And one last time, we will remind you that Otis Lawrence will be starting from the back of the grid for this race. Meatball in 18th, 17th to Levy Martins, and then Typical in 16th place, with Farfowl just managing to sneak through, as has Josh Gill as well. And I mean, while we wait for the next round of qualifying to happen here in Worlds, Callum, who do you think is going to take pole position? Because we've got a very odd situation where we don't have I don't have Otis there ready to take it.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's the first time where it's a little bit more wide open, but I may be going for the slightly more obvious choice in Choco. If I remember correctly, I think he was pretty strong in Tier 1. I think he maybe even got pole in Tier 1. I could be completely wrong, but he certainly was in the front row all those months ago. But yeah, Choco, I think he's really strong around here. I think this is a good track of his. And yeah, I think he is probably my man to get that pole position.
I unfortunately have to tell you he DNF'd here in Tier 1. But Smokey did get 2nd place. So... or is it 3rd place? He either got 2nd or 3rd, but definitely not. I think Choco did have some pace around here, but we've seen, especially in the Legacy division, Choco's 1 lap pace has been incredible. If he can get out and be in the lead, he might be able to run away with this.
Yeah, you're certainly right, too. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I just remember him being ahead of Otis Lawrence right at the start of the race. But maybe I've got my VSR drivers mixed up. But yeah, whatever the case is, he's looking pretty strong early on anyway. So yeah, it's pretty promising signs for VSR nonetheless. Smokey as well in 2nd. He's looking competitive, but then you've also got the PSR guys. Connor, he could be a pretty good dark horse as well. And Wilson as well. We always know how quick he can be. So yeah, there's definitely a couple of names you could throw into that hat.
Yeah, plenty of drivers to get themselves set here for the Legacy division in Q2. Amin is the first driver to get himself out on a lap, and Smokey and Halo have decided to set a lap early as well. We've got 14 minutes of Q2 and a lot riding for the Team Shazoo and Visceral Racing Team, and Choco's only just managed to get himself back into the lobby. It just shows that the lobby issues that we're having tonight are definitely problematic. And if we do have a driver drop out tonight, it could be a problem for them getting back in. And that might spoil the race a little bit for some of these. So let's hope that both Team Shazira and Visceral drivers especially don't have that issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I went back and checked. Choco qualified 10th and DNF'd on lap 3. So yeah, let's just not listen to what I said about Choco earlier on. Um, yeah, not a great one that. But there you go. He's on for vengeance. Maybe that's the storyline here. But nonetheless, I said that earlier. His pace is looking pretty promising earlier on. But I think Q1 as well, it sometimes can be a little bit deceiving. The driver's pace, I think, is probably. You maybe got drivers just maybe holding back ever so slightly. I'm intrigued to see what Leopard can do. We've never seen a whole host of pace from him in Q1. So yeah, there's still definitely a few drivers. I'm still waiting to see their full hand.
It was interesting to see, though, for Leopard to go out on a set of used softs around here and still improve on his lap time. I know, obviously, the track were bedded in a little bit. Just hope, well, maybe it shows that Leopard is just finding a little bit more feet here in the race, for the race as well. I seem to remember that Leopard had a torrid start here in Tier 1 and then managed to bring himself back into the race. I think if you remember right, I think it was Chandler Sater that had an absolute stormer of a start, getting past Otis Lawrence on the line, because I think Otis had the pole position and Chandler was second. So I think that's how it went for that anyway. But I'm in going down this long straight for the first time in Q2, looking to try and be a little bit more consistent, I think is the best way to describe it, in this race, and really propel himself for better things for the next season, and not only Legacy Division, but hopefully Tier 1 of WR as well.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that one. I'm in area. He's the first man to settle up to a 27.6, maybe slightly not what he was expecting there, but still a pretty solid lap to start off his session.
I think we've got next up is FGE Halo, who produced a pretty good time in Q1 to get himself set through. And as he rounds through these two final corners now, I think he's caught a little bit too much curb, and it might have cost him. I think it just stepped the back end out a little bit, and that's cost him a little bit of time, but he's quite close to Amin still anyway. I think maybe Farfo, or is it Maris that's on a lap? I think it's Farfo that's next on a lap. It'll be interesting to see how he can handle the pressure here and see if he can get himself into that top 10 for the final quali shot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not often we see a ERL in the top 15, even the top 10. I think Bartek Fraz back in Canada. I think that's the one that stands out for me. A great drive from him there, but not too sure how they got on in Brazil. But other than that, for the most part this season, ERL, they've been pretty disappointing for the most part. But let's see what Farfo can do here. He can try and end this season on a high with a pretty good lap here. Could maybe even send him into Q3 this early on. Let's see now. Coming out the final corner, he goes a little bit hesitant on the throttle there, a little bit wobbly, and that he ends as he comes across the line. And it's the slowest of the three times at the moment. It's a 27.992.
Yeah, I think maybe Maris is messed up. He was going very slow. So I don't think Maris is going to be setting the world alight at the moment. So let's go on board with Passy, who set a very good Q1 time, which meant he didn't have to do too much more. So great to see Passy doing as well as he has done of recent weeks. So let's see if he can keep it up. Hops over the curb at this really tricky turn 15. If you don't get that right, you're into the wall. And his car did get a little bit airborne there, but apparently he's purple in Sector 2, if we believe the timing screen from a Codemasters game. And down into turn 17 he comes. And let's see whether he's tentative into this hairpin, because we've seen it quite tentative for a few people, and he is a little bit far away from the apex there.
Yeah, ever so slightly, but nothing that I'm hearing. There's nothing lap ending there from passing. That is certainly the main thing. He comes across the line there, you have it. A 27 flat, and that's your fastest time of the session so far.
Yeah, he's definitely showing that he is capable of a lot of great pace at the moment. It's great to see. And I don't know. I'm trying to think. Euro Titans Esports. I don't know if he's their quickest. I don't know if Aiden may have got more points than him this season. But Passy, showing good pace at the moment, and it is really good to see a driver who's not necessarily been at the top of their game, but coming back to it at an end of a season cycle, which might give them that boost into the new season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a key part. As much as we might have a month off league racing, drivers will still be on practicing. They'll keep the kind of the confidence that they've got from the end of the season, and it can really be the difference maker for them. So yeah, it's really important for some of these guys to end the season on a high, and yeah, it can really be making or breaking some drivers next season.
Latifi getting quite close to the hairpin of turn 17 there, but he's not so much onto 18 at the apex, but he's onto the curb, and it's P2 for him, close to Passy. Yet to see Visceral set a lap time at the moment. So is Choco on a lap time? He is, but I think Leopard is going to go first. Leopard has invalidated, unfortunately, as soon as I go on board with him. To curse of the commentator, unfortunately, on that one. Who else could be setting a lap time? Is Harv just starting? So Josh maybe as he comes down into 17. No, he is not, because he is incredibly slow. So I'm guessing it's going to be Choco to be setting the next lap time as he comes through turns 10. DRS wide open as he brakes hard for turn 11.
Oh, a big moment there on the end. The Choco, oh, he's all out of sorts saying he's into the wall. To talk about a bad time for a commentator or a commentator's curse, because that was the prime example lap well and truly over for Choco. Unfortunately for him, into the pit lane, and he'll need to try and regroup and go again.
This track is definitely a confidence track, isn't it? As soon as you lose that air of confidence a little bit, and it costs you, and especially at the end of Sector 2, you could be absolutely flying high, but just the lapse in concentration maybe could cost you absolutely, well, could cost you the race. And maybe that's what happened in Tier 1 of WR this season as well. But here comes EOL Dodo then, through turns 18 into 19 and across the line. It's P4 for him for the time being, beating BRT Justin, Halo, Maris and his teammate, and Josh Gill as well, who's way off the pace. VSR Smoker, are you on a lap? He is indeed, and across the line is a 26.8 to really set a marker down to everyone else right now.
Yes, certainly has much better from him than what we've seen in Q1, so he'll be very happy with that one. PSR Connor, unfortunately, he didn't manage to set a bad lap. Harv, he comes across the line, but he's 35, so he's a little bit off the pace as well. He'll be looking to try and go again. Wilson, he's across the line. It's a 26.7 for the Williams man, so times are starting to fall down now. As well as that, a few drivers also struggling to find their feet a little bit in this session.
Yeah, Leopard, one of them, I think, just invalidating his last lap as soon as I went on board with him this time. It looks fine through Sector 2. Around turn 16 he goes, and then full power down as he comes down this long straight, which takes you to turn 17, the hairpin. And I wonder how Leopard can handle it. At the moment, he's on a used, he's used his tyres for an extra lap compared to most people at the moment, but he's pulling him through. But what a lap from PSR Wilson to really ignite the battle he's had in WR Tier 1 with Smokey all season. He's continuing it in Legacy Division for now, but Leopard throws himself into P4 for the time being, just ahead of his teammate.
Yeah, pretty happy with that one. I'm sure Leopard will be. Just looking, I think Connor might be on a lap for PSR at the moment, one of only two drivers not to set a valuable lap. And Connor, a little bit of pressure has been put on himself now as he's looking to try and find that good lap time, sending him through into qualifying 3 as he now approaches the pretty treacherous, I should say, end of the middle sector.
Yeah, this is so tight for Sector 2, and you've got to be up against the wall for turn 12, then open up the steering a little bit through 13, and then back to really tight through everywhere else until you get onto the back straight, and then it's back on full throttle as soon as you can, really, as you head on down, as the yellow flags are waving. I think that's could be Josh Gill or could be Harv. Either of them are on track at the moment, going slowly at the end of 17 here. Nice and tight. This is probably the tightest I've seen anyone on the curb at turn 17. PSR Connor trying his best to do something here, and across the line it's P7 for the time being. He's stuck behind the two Shizou drivers.
Yeah, as much as that might not look too good when you look at the times, being P10, so 5 tenths behind that, it gives you a little bit more confidence for Connor, as well as that for Connor. He's got time on his side, he can get into the pit lane for him, and he'll be looking to try and go again and improve on that final run. So, yeah, it's not great in terms of positioning for Connor, but yeah, there's still plenty of time on his side to try and improve that lap time.
Here comes Choco then. Let's stay on board with him for a whole lap, and as long as he doesn't invalidate, and see how he can handle the pressure. Nice and close to the apex at turn 1. across onto the curbs of 2 and 3, using as much as the track as possible. And at the moment, it's looking relatively good for Choco in Sector 1. Let's see how he takes the next few corners, because really, like I mentioned a bit earlier on, it's about confidence. If Choco can keep it up, nearly going really wide out of turn 7 there, but managing to hold on. It's quite a decent first sector time for the Ferrari driver, and he'll be wanting to be up there with Smokey, as Half put himself into P3, which I've completely disregarded. I am apologetic there for you, Half, but that's a good time for Half.
Yeah, great lap time there from Half. That should definitely be enough for him in the next session. Wilson and Passy think so as well. They two have both retired from the session, but all eyes are on Choco at the moment as he's trying to navigate through that really tight section of the track. He's getting all the way to the right now, opening up this corner at turn 16, and now he's onto the back straight. Now he's got yellow flags in front of him. They shouldn't play too much of an effect, but it's been a pretty good lap so far from Choco. I don't think he'll have any major complaints about how this lap has panned out for him so far, but he's still got one more corner to navigate. A pretty treacherous final chicane, or final hairpin, I should say. It's third gear for him there. He's hitting that apex nicely, got the car slowed down well, and now he's back on the power to end off his lap, clipping the curb on the inside there, and then once again to come across line, near enough riding the curb. As he comes across the line, it's at 26.6, and that is now the fastest lap time of the session.
That's what he needed to do, is Amin going across the line. Amin throws himself P6 for the time being. 27 dead. Leopard having to go out again. He's a bit concerned about his 27.1, and with FGE Halo managing a 27.2 as well, I wouldn't be too surprised if some of these lower end drivers throw a surprise in and get themselves into P10. Passy with his 27 dead as well could very well be in a little bit of trouble, even though he's retired from the session already. Could we see a surprise, do you think, Connor?
We possibly could. It's always a possibility, especially when the grid's this close around about this area. And yeah, a few drivers will definitely need to try and get a move on now if they want to see themselves progress through into this next qualifying session. I'll try to see any driver coming to the end of their lap. But I think the obvious one is maybe Farfel for ERL at the moment. He's coming in to the hairpin now. 14th he is in at the moment, 27.9. So he's a long way off. A 27.2 is what he's needing to get through in this next session. But let's see what he can do now anyway. Coming across the line, it's a 27.3, and it is not enough to see him through into the top 10.
Not at this moment. He was 0.5 of a second up on his second split, so maybe there's a little bit more for him to find through this. Is BRT Justin could very well be the driver next to set a lap time, or is it Maris? I don't think Maris is on a lap, so let's stay on board with Justin as he hurtles his way down the back straight of sector 3 and into turn 17. There is a little bit of derating on the McLaren there, which down the straight, which is a little bit odd to see, but he goes a little bit wide out into 17. That's an odd one to take.
Yep, it certainly is, and it's not ideal for him, but he's coming across the line now anyway, and it is not an improvement, which isn't really ideal for him, but it looks like he's going again, and I think that's the main thing. I think he's maybe just set himself up nicely for this lap, and yeah, but Justin looks to be going again and trying to get himself out of that bottom 5, I should say.
Amin has retired. He's happy there in P6. We do have both Shazoo drivers going for it, but here comes Josh Gill across the line. Is it going to be enough? It's P13 for him for the time being, unfortunately for him. Dodo across the line. Can he do anything more? He can go quicker. He beats Josh Gill, but nothing more. So, which Shazoo driver is first on track? It's LCR Leopard as he rounds turn 16 and down the back straight.
Yes, he'll be looking to now try and get a pretty good lap time in. Not long left in the session now, so it's certainly now or never for him. And yeah, it should be pretty interesting to see how he can do now. And yeah, it should be pretty good to see.
Into 17, around 17, into 18 comes the Red Bull driver, or the Shazoo driver, I should say. Not as tight to the curb as I thought he would be. It is quicker. It's a 26.7. So just mildly quicker, and throws himself P2 right behind Choco.
Yeah, his teammate coming across the line now. He goes P5, goes Shazoo, Latifi. So the two Shazoo drivers are pretty comfortably through into the next qualifying session. BRT Justin, he comes across the line now. He's through into the next qualifying session as well. He's now up to P7. And now PSR Connor. It's at a whole lot of pressure now as Josh Gillee is the last man, but I think, is he going to be improving? It doesn't look like it as it stands. But yeah, Connor, he'll be sitting there with his breath held, because I think it's going to be pretty tight to see if he's qualifying into Q3.
This is crazy. Both Shazoo drivers are right behind the visceral rivals in the race, with PSR Wilson deciding to split them right in the middle, but Connor managing to get himself just through. Got a feel for Halo a little bit there, because he was right on the cusp.
Yeah, Halo was very impressive all session, and yeah, he wasn't too far off that qualifying 3 there, but yeah, it's pretty fine margins. But he set himself up nicely for the race, and yeah, if he can stay out of trouble, I think yeah, he can certainly be a dark horse for some serious points.
So the drivers we lose from qualifying 2 to take us through to the next one are Halo, Maris, Farfo, Dodo, and Josh Gilly as well. And then we have it. So right now, BRT Justin throws himself into a great position. So is NVR Amin as well. Who's taking pole? Is it still Choco, or do you think Leopard can throw himself something special here?
You know, it's now much closer than it looked a couple of minutes ago, but I'll stick to my guns and say Choco. But you know, Leopard, he looks up for it. Wilson found a new look to life as well. So yeah, it is certainly still very much open to see who can get this pole position.
Yeah, time will tell. Chat as well. Let us know who you think's going to take pole, considering that Otis Lawrence is starting from the back of the grid to see if he can do a last to first challenge here tonight. Is it going to be Choco, or are we going to see Smokey, Wilson, Leopard, even maybe Latifi getting himself through this and doing something special as well? But we shouldn't count out anyone else, because all it takes is one person to have a mistake on track and lose a wheel, and anything is possible, really. And generally with F1 league racing, it generally does happen as well to us.
Yeah, it doesn't happen hell of often. So yeah, this qualifying 3 should be pretty good. You know, it's not normally things where we can't predict it. And yeah, there's certainly 3, 4, maybe 5 drivers all in the mixer here. So yeah, should be pretty good, especially when you've got, it's mainly your VSR and Shazoo guys that are up there. They're looking the quickest, and they're the 2 that are fighting out for this P3 and the constructors. So yeah, the stars have aligned very nicely.
And as per Q2, Amin is the first driver out on track, and he will be the driver we watch to set a lap time. These guys will likely do 2 runs on their tyres, on this section, and yeah, just to bed themselves in a little bit more. I think maybe we're going to see a low 26 for pole tonight. I think maybe a 26.3. With Otis, it might have been a 26 dead.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I'm not too sure if we could get that, but we're not too far off it actually. So yeah, just keep an eye on the time, see how they go. I would expect maybe slightly slower times on these first runs of the session. Normally we might see guys going out on used sets of softs just due to the kind of lack of tyres available in full qualifying. Sometimes guys go out on old sets, but sometimes if you're lucky enough, if you got through Q1 first time, you might have that extra set of fresh softs, which could definitely be the difference maker for a few of these guys. So yeah, if a few guys are a little bit off the pace, that will probably be the reason.
Definitely would be. Let's see how he can sort this out. How Amin can sort this out. He's using as much as the back straight as possible, using all of it as a tyre warming exercise, but now he's going to start his lap on turn 17 effectively, because you really need a great launch for 17 to make sure your next lap is a great lap, don't you? Because that's where the straight really starts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's pretty bizarre how it all kind of pans out, but yeah, it's a pretty weird ending to the lap. But do you know what, Amity? It's been a pretty clean first sector for him so far now into this really hectic left, right, and a long left now into this section, but it's all pretty good for him so far. He's run out here, make sure not to go too wide, because that can invalidate your lap, and then setting up this back straight very nicely over the curb there, make sure to not lose it over the curb, which he has navigated very well, and then onto that back straight, as I said, and yeah, so far so good for Amity.
Yeah, looking nice and tight as he gets to the end of the DRS straight into turn 11. He goes, using as much of the track as possible, close to the apex, but not hitting it perfectly. But wow, look how close that gets to turn 12 as well. Definitely using as much of the track as possible, going over the curbs, close to an invalidation, but no invalidation for the Haas driver. And now he's got a few cars ahead of him going slowly, and they could get in the way. I can't see which car that is. It could very well be Passy, who just moves out of his way for the time being. And as he heads to turn 17, let's see if he makes this apex perfect this time around. It's looking a lot better than I've seen him do in previous laps in Q1 and 2 respectively there. A little bit of, wobble there as he goes through. And it's 27.5. Could very well be, like you mentioned, a set of scrub tyres there.
Yeah, possibly could be. That's maybe a bit off the pace for his standards, but still not a bad lap nonetheless. Trying to see who's coming to the end of their lap now, but I think for the most part, a lot of drivers are just starting their laps or on their out laps at the moment. So I think maybe Shazul Latifi is the next one to set a lap as he's coming through the middle sector now. So there's really tight and awkward section over the curb that goes there. There's the Shazul driver, big shoes to fill tonight, no Piccolo, and a lot at stake for Shazul, and the only guys that are looking to try and get something from the constructors in that P3 battle, of course, with VSR. And VSR very much look on it tonight. Choco and Smokey obviously been doing some practicing, so Latifi, he really has to step up to the plate, and he's done that so far. Coming at the final corner, he goes first gear, interesting enough. That is complete contrast to what we've seen from the rest of the grid, but it's worked for him so far, so we're not going to question it too much. Coming around the final right-hander now, he comes across line a 27.3. That puts him provisionally in pole position.
Yeah, again, I think might very well be a scrub set for him because he did look a little bit quicker in Q2, but we will wait and see for everyone else to go through. Here comes VSR Smokey then through the final two corners. Can he get himself ahead of everyone else? He does. It's a 26.6 to start life off here, and that is a very, very solid lap time from him. Where is Passy throws himself P2 for the time being. I think it's PSR Wilson then. As Connor goes pole provisionally with a 26.4. Connor throwing himself right in the mix. Held his pace back, I think.
Wow, yeah, that came out absolutely nowhere. The Flying Welshman, we should call him from now on. Connor, great lap time there from him, and yeah, certainly probably caught a few people off guard. That lap sign did certainly caught me off guard nonetheless. But Choco, he'll be now looking to get stuck in. He's seen another man on the controller set provisional pole. He will not be happy with that one. So let's see what he can do here through this pretty tight and twisty section. He navigates the car really well. He gets the car turned well out of that final corner, and yeah, he's looking pretty nice in the meantime. Wilson went up into P3 during all of that, so it's a PSR 1-3 as it stands, but we've still got Choco, remember, and he could possibly make this a 1-3 for VSR as they're looking to try and get that P3 in the constructor standings. Remember, third gear through that final corner. He's navigated it well. It looked to be a clean lap so far from Choco, and now he's not really got much else. It's this pretty short right hander, and he's across the line now. It's a 1 minute 26.4, and there you have it. That's provisional pole position.
Yeah, Choco throwing himself in a great position. Here comes Leopard. What can he do in response? Is P3 for him. I wonder if that's fresh tyres or not, but that's 26.5 for LCR Leopard, throwing himself in front of VSR Smokey. And Smokey must be wondering where these guys have come from because he's been a little bit on top compared to some of these guys before now. And then all of a sudden he's sitting fourth at the first runs of qualifying.
Yeah, it's a bizarre one that, but you have it. It's just kind of sometimes how Lee Grayson can go, and it certainly gives you some unexpected tales like that. Harv, I'm just going to say he's doing really well at the moment in P7. Same with Passy in P6. Those two guys having great sessions. Latifi, he'll be looking to try and improve. I'd imagine that was a used set of soft tyres he was on. So yeah, keep an eye on him as well when he gets those fresh sets for his final run.
Now, this is going to be interesting to say the least. Axe reckons, I think that was for Amin's lap, was used tyres. So we will wait and see if it is or not as we watch Leopard go back around for his in-lap here. He does seem to be pushing a little bit still, mind you, because he's only 1 minute down, 1 second down on his lap time, so he's still pushing hard. But he's probably wanted to get into the pits and set another lap time because ideally, I know it's a lot of pressure on, but you want that last lap. You want to be the last driver to set a lap time because that's where the track is bedded in and everything's set up. Yeah,
absolutely. It's the prime time to do it now. If you're going to deliver on a lap, certainly within these last few minutes of qualifying free, and yeah, it's certainly the good time to do it. Harvard is the first man out on track. 4 minutes left in the session. He's looking to maybe get 2 laps in there. He's certainly got that room for it. If he messes up the first lap, he can fall back, look to go again. And yeah, just keen out and have, I think, possibly a dark horse to maybe sneak into that top 5 because his pace has looked pretty promising throughout this full qualifying.
Yeah, Harv's he's been impressive throughout towards the end of the season. Actually, it's great to see Harv do some incredible driving throughout, but really stepped it up a notch or two more recently. And same with Passy; those two both really pushing, and it's great to see someone other than the usual names as well, and doesn't always get the plaudits they deserve. And we get to speak about them a little bit more now. Otis Lawrence is at the back of the grid for this one. For those of you who are wondering where he is starting from the back of the grid to try and set a first to last challenge for the first time in Legacy Division history. Imagine that. Yeah, if anyone can do it, it'll be him.
Yeah, if he's not broken enough records already, yeah, he could add that one to his tally. But it will not be easy. This track isn't the easiest for overtaking. We've seen that in real life F1 and a few league races as well. I think Tier 2, I remember you saying Tier 1 was pretty good. I think Tier 2 when I done it was pretty brutal to compensate over. So yeah, this isn't an easy track to overtake. There'll be a lot of crashes. There's going to be a lot of things he's going to have to avoid. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how Otis does progress in this race. But you know what? It doesn't matter about him now. He's all the way at the back. We've got these guys at the front who is certainly putting on a great show. And yeah, for once, this could be a pretty good qualifying because there's at least 3, 4, maybe even 5 drivers that could all get a really solid chance at getting this pole position.
Yeah, I would even put Passy into that top area of drivers being able to get pole because he's shown some great pace. I'm not sure if that was fresh tyres from Passy, but throughout he's been there or thereabouts and clinging to the back end of these guys. But at the moment, oh, well, time will tell. Latifi has not left the pits yet. He's just leaving now. That him and Connor are going to be the last 2 drivers out. That's how close I think this qualifying's going. Latifi is leaving it last minute. He wants to be as high up the grid as possible to help Team Shazoo. Maybe hold up the Visceral guys to let Leopard fairy tale story run away with it. Harvey's invalidated his lap time.
Yeah, shame there for Hard, like a pretty solid lap, but as I mentioned earlier, he's now got that luxury. He can back off, save the ERS, save the tyres, get the tyres back down to a good temperature, and then build and go again. So that was kind of the benefit of going a little bit earlier to the rest of the grid, and yeah, he'll be making full use of that now. No other drivers out on a lap at the moment as well, that should be said. Or BRT Justin, I think, is the only one that's a good chunk into his lap. So yeah, keep an eye out on that McLaren because at the moment he's not set a valid lap time.
Yeah, I think he decided to not do a lap, or I don't think he went out before, and he's using his fresh set now late on, get very close to turn 12, not as close as we've seen some of these drivers, but close nonetheless, hopping over the curb, and there we go. He's clipped the corner at turn 14, and he's got enough time to do another lap. But that is not ideal for the BRT driver, and he's it's a lot of pressure on his shoulders right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took us this long to get a driver to make a mistake like that. Very easily done, and yeah, it's a shame for him. But yeah, he's got the time to go again, and I'm sure that's exactly what he will do. Trying to see now who's coming to the end of their lap. Is it maybe that Haas? I think of Amine, I think is the next one to cross the line. He's just coming out of that pretty tough section, the sector 2 and sector 3 now. He's 6/10 up according to the Delta. That could be a pretty good lap time, one for a 0.9, 0.8. And if he can find a couple tenths in this final few corners, he could possibly on for a top 5 here. The Haas man, he's been pretty strong all season. And then yeah, he's replicating that once again here tonight, breaking around about the 100-metre board. And if third gear, just like we've seen the rest of the grid, hits that apex nicely, using all the curb as well on the outside. It's foot flat to the floor now as well as he's out on the final corner. Short run at the line for Amaniz, he comes across the line, and it is P4 at 26.643. Great lap there from the Haas driver.
Great lap from Amin there, and here comes Passy. Can he do anything about everyone else? He goes P3. No special pole for him. Is it Choco that is next across the line? Choco won't go any quicker. He's invalidated. Here comes VSR Smokey as he comes around the final 2 corners now. The Ferrari driver across the line. It's pole provisionally for him.
It's now Hard, I think, is the next one to come across the line, currently sitting P8. Where can he get that Alfa Romeo? He comes across the line. Unfortunately, not enough improvement to gain any positions. PSR Wilson now as well. He's going to look to become across the line anytime soon. I think he'll be looking at least to try and get into that top 5. Flying the fly for PSR is Connor as well as in P3. Let's see what he can do now as he comes across the line. And it is P3. He overtakes his teammate. They go into the second row of the grid.
Shazoo Latifi across the line. He improves, but he stays P9. That's how close it was. Smokey at the moment. The two VSR drivers leading the way. PSR holding the second row of the grid. Unless BRT Justin can do something special, which I don't think he can do because he's 10 seconds down on his lap time and he's set a 1 minute 43. So that is not ideal for BRT. They'll be starting 10th at that point there. But what an interesting qualifier we had. Leopard couldn't improve on his lap time. But look at Choco down to Leopard. It's only 1.5 tenths of a second.
Yeah, extremely close grids. It's really good to see. I think Leopard will be bitterly disappointed. I think Shizou will be bitterly disappointed, especially when they see that's a VSR walkout in the first row of the grid. The second time this season, it's in a VSR 1-2. The second time, I think, was in Austria the week we had the sprint race. So, yeah, good stuff there from the Ferrari and VSR guys. They've set themselves up very nicely for this race.
The pendulum swings back to the Visceral Racing team way for the final race here of WR Legacy Division. And wow, it's looking very much 2x2 for the front two rows of the grid, and then it's all a little bit mixed. Latifi in 9th place there as well. So that is qualifying said, done and dusted. And I tell you what, let's actually go to the standing screen right now and just remind everyone what's at stake. The battle for P3 currently is 4 points between Shizou and Visceral Racing, and this is LCR Leopard's final race in a WR event, I should say, and it will be sad to see him go, but I'm sure he's going to give everything to try and win this race. And we look at it and we got Otis Lawrence starting at the back of the grid. We've already mentioned that it's very much a very difficult track to overtake, but I mean, incidents are quite high at this track as well. So a safety car, an alternate strategy, and we could see something very, very special here tonight.
Absolutely. Like always in league racing, it's never over until that checkered flag is out. In VSR, they'll be very happy with that 1-2, but there's certainly a job to be done. They do trail Shizou by a couple of points, as you mentioned. Shizou have got a little bit of work to do, though. I think a little bit further down than they would have wanted, and they, especially when you've got your arch rivals sitting first and second, pretty rosy up there. So get, I think, Latifi and Leopard, a bit of work to be done in this race, but yeah, it's certainly not over for that battle for P3.
Now, something I will quickly ask the chat is, who do you think is going to take victory here? Do you think Otis is going to be able to get through the grid and take victory? Or do you think it's going to be something special from the likes of Smokey or Choco, or maybe an LCR Leopard victory here? Time will tell for us for sure. And I'll ask that question for you as well, Callum. Who do you think is going to take this one tonight?
I'm going to go for PSR Wilson. Maybe slightly different. I think he won last 2 weeks ago in Canada, if I'm rightly to say. So yeah, I think Wilson. I think he's got a great head on him, a good racecraft as well. So yeah, I think he'll be pretty good to keep an eye on tonight. But I think Otis Lawrence as well. Let's not rule him out back there. But yeah, a lot of work has to be done for Otis if he wants to see anything near the top 5.
I'm going to go for a fairy tale ending, similarly to Axe, and say Leopard to take victory here. I think it's written in the stars, in my opinion. I could very well be wrong, and I generally curse anyone who I back as well, so I do apologise right now, Team Shizou, but time will tell how this one pans out. They're getting their strategy set up. To be perfectly honest, I can't remember what the strategy we saw before, but the timing screen is coming down. Any final words for you, Callum, before we get underway racing?
Well, I was going to say the strategy's hard medium, just like we see a majority of the rounds. We might see a few guys go for that alternate, go medium hards, so keep an eye on a few guys that maybe go for those mediums, go a bit more aggressive at the start of the race. But other than that, hard medium will be the preferred strategy for the rest of the grid.
Right then, the final time in Season 1 of the Legacy Division, we are racing. It's the Miami International Autodrome, and this is going to be a big one as Choco leaves the session at the start. I wonder if that's caused a few issues, because here we go. We're on 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights here in Miami, and we're racing. Is it going to be a good start for either of the PSR guys in the background? and surely it's not gonna. It's a pretty poor start, I think, there from Wilson. Leopard up into P5 and being caught a little bit out by Passy, and there's a lot of changes behind. Harv is down 5 places.
Yeah, there's a lot of squabbling going on. The A high, I think, Choco with a great start, but he's now dropping into P2. As Choco, he'll be looking frantically to get back into this section. Just looking further back, there's a few scraps of places as Aston Martin. I think that's Halo. Oh, and Halo's round, unfortunately, facing the way of the oncoming traffic, but luckily not too much going on there. Otis Lawrence up into P17 as well, as he's had to take a void in action.
As Dodo, I think, had an issue as well. Dodo's got no front wing. He's in major trouble. Maris attacking Mertens, who's also attacking. Is that Red Bull in front of him? No, it's McLaren, sorry, of Meatball. So action happening all over, and we're missing some of the action at the front, but that's Connor getting past Choco's AI, I believe, right now. And it going wide through turn 12. This is going to be absolutely crucial for Maris to hold on. He's clipped the wall a little bit from the Haas, and he's pushing the Haas as much as he can, but I think he's going to lose out to the position. Into turn 16 they go. He's had to concede, and he's behind the Haas for the time being, but there goes Otis Lawrence already through and up to 16th place. Leopard getting past Choco as well. So Choco's AI really struggling. Through Choco's AI goes Amin as well, and hopefully we can get Choco back into this very, very quickly. But let's have a look right now at the tyres choices. Mertens and Dodo on the medium compound tyres, and poor Dodo has to pit now.
Yep, it definitely does. Choco's misery's getting worse, unfortunately. His invite only works off the host, apparently, so my invites that I'm sending him isn't working. So yeah, it's not looking good for Choco or for VSR at the moment. So yeah, hemorrhaging positions as we speak, and as it stands, it's only Smokey who is flying the sole flag for VSR out front.
But he's got a 1.3 second gap to Connor and Wilson, and Passy holding up a little bit right now is Leopard. And well, I say holding up, Leopard's not really in striking distance of the Alpine driver right now, but he is closing. Maris has left the session as well. That's not ideal for the other ETE driver, but into turn 11 they go, and Leopard seems to have a little bit of a better line than Passy through that one.
Yeah, he does. Leopard does look pretty good at the moment. He's just biding his time though. He's in no rush. We know what he's like. He's a pretty calculated man. He doesn't seem to rush things. So I think he'll make the move, and it needs to be. And I don't think we'll see any huge mistakes from him. But Passy losing that DRS to the top 3 when the DRS is activated, that could be pretty. That could have some pretty big consequences when it comes around, because that might just allow that top 3 to pull away and go into a league of their own. Yeah,
Latifi as well, which we found last time out at Brazil, seems to have. He seems very, very similar to Leopard. Has a lot better race pace than his qualifying, and he's already all over the back of Novus Racing Amin as they look to go down the start-finish straight. And I think the Shazoo Racing driver is going to have it up the inside into turn 1, and he does indeed, and holds the position. And now he's behind his experienced teammate of LCR Leopard, but quite nearly out of out of DRS. Sorry, he's got to be able to close that gap quickly through this section, or otherwise he could be a sitting duck to Amin a bit later on, but he is slowly or eking back that gap to Leopard right now.
Yeah, nicely done there from Latifi. Didn't lose too much time in the end, and gets himself into a good position for Shazoo. And I think as it stands, Shazoo will keep that place in the standings. They will stay P3. That's some pretty quick maths, but I think it is correct. So it's very close stuff at the moment, and I think basically for VSR they need Choco back in this race, or I think their hopes of the top 3 could be gone.
Yeah, it's very, very close, and what they need is, what Shazoo need is PSR to attack VSR, and it looks like Connor's getting into that gap as well with Wilson as well. It's going to be very, very close as they come down the back straight for the 3rd time, and at the moment Leopard is looking a little bit quicker than Passy ahead. DRS open. Probably using a little bit of ERS as well. Let's have a look at that as they come through. Let's have a look at the ERS usage between the two of them as well. Leopard is using a hell of a lot more than Passy. Passy's, being a bit conservative right now. I think there's a BRT versus VSR issue going on as well. Justin trying to keep his best up into the top 10 for the time being, and all over the back of Choco for the time being.
Yeah, I'm not too sure when Choco got back in, but it's nice to see him in the race anyway. That is very, very big for this race for VSR, and he's up into P8 now. 2 seconds is a gap to P7. So yeah, he's got a little bit of hunting to do now. But yeah, Choco, he's back in the race. He needs to try and get his head down now and see if he can try and get back to this middle of the pack.
Yeah, it looks like Latifi's actually quicker than Leopard right now, so it could be a little bit of a swap between the Shizou drivers, or I think actually, here comes Leopard again, looking to get to Passy. I wonder if the two Shizou drivers will try work together, overtake Passy at the same point, and then try to work together to get themselves away from this. Look how close they are through turn 12, and at the moment, Shizou biding their time a little bit. Wilson and Connor trying to keep Smokey honest. Smokey obviously going to claim those 25 points, which is going to help VSR massively right now if things stay the way they do, but never usually works out that way, do they, Connor?
No, they don't, and I think at the moment Wilson is going up to into P2. That's all right. As Wilson up into P2, he goes Connor. The real Connor in this lobby is into P3 now, unfortunately. So yeah, a bit of a switch in positions for PSR. They're not maybe too happy with the Connor's pace, and yeah, now Wilson will be pushing to try and get back into that DRS of Smokey up front.
Yeah, this is why you shouldn't try and commentate over someone and then call out your commentator at the same time. It just doesn't work. Leopard then had a little bit of trouble through 17 and 18. The back end stepped out a little bit, and Latifi actually dropped away from this battle. So I'm hoping there's no problems for the second Shizou driver there. But Leopard up into P4. He's doing what his team needs him to do, and that is to continue to hound through some of these drivers and get as many points as possible. And I wonder if Wilson actually looks like a quicker driver at the moment. Maybe Connor had a great initial start for the race, but just needs Wilson to drag him through back to Smokey. Maybe Wilson had the better ERS usage. But here comes Passy then. Oh, and that is big moment. Shizou Latifi somehow managing to stay ahead of Amin, but he was nearly off the track at turn 11.
Oh wow, unfortunately I missed that, but I think the implications of this means that Choco, he is now really, really close behind these guys. Now, not quite within that 1 second range, but yeah, he can certainly get very, very close to Amin now, and that is huge for VSR's chances today. And just going to say up front as well, Wilson, he's been really pushing those last few laps to get back into the DRS of Smokey, only 10% ERS on that Williams, but yeah, the main thing for him is he's got that DRS, and that is really, really important for his race.
PSR look like they're working together, and that could be crucial because Connor is now saving his ERS while being dragged along by Wilson. This could be a perfect PSR ploy, and I think we've lost Maris at Meatball at turn number 19 on lap 5 for those guys. But PSR Connor playing the long game and getting themselves back into a chance of victory here. And VSR Smokey must be so frustrated that his teammate had that issue, because he could, well, both of them could be using each other as defence. So have we lost someone on track? There's Harv, that's around. It doesn't look like he's got damage, but not ideal for him. And yeah, now 3 seconds away from Otis Lawrence in 11th place.
Yeah, Otis Lawrence in 11th place. In 11th place. Got it eventually. And now in 10th place. There you go, it's happy days for the Mercedes. And yeah, we've not spoken about him an awful lot today, but yeah, he's just quietly been making his way through the positions. Nothing heroic, but yeah, nothing horrendous either. So yeah, he's making the most of other people's misfortunes, and yeah, now finds himself into the points-paying positions.
Yeah, he's close to Josh. I wonder if he'll make a move. Apparently, Otis killed Harv, according to Axe in the chat, but we will watch the... It wouldn't be the first time a Mercedes... Oh, no, it wasn't the Mercedes, was it? It was a Haas last night, my bad. Yeah, Otis getting close to the back end of Josh, but not enough at the end. But you could see the back end of both Josh and Otis's back end wiggle there.
Yeah, Otis is looking pretty feisty. He isn't in at turn 1, but thinks better of it. He's just sitting behind Josh now. But I think Josh won't put too much of a fight when Otis comes. I think he knows where his race is to be, and it is not with Otis Lawrence. So yeah, it should be a pretty simple move for Otis, but I think Otis's problem now is when he gets past, he is now going to be 4 seconds behind Choco, so you've got a lot of making up to do. And yeah, Axe is spreading some false rumours in the chat. I was pretty confident I didn't see Otis take out Harv, and that is true. So yeah, Otis has nothing to do with the spin of Harv, fortunately. So yeah, thought that was important to clear up.
Okay, good. Axe just throwing me under the bus a little bit there, but there's no end plate on the front of that Mercedes. He was right about that, and yeah, that's an interesting one. Otis fighting with damage, so he's quick, but it's not as quick as we would expect him to be, I think.
Yeah, you could probably say that, but he's still looking pretty good, isn't he? He's not looking ridiculously slow. I think there's still a lot of pace in there.
Sorry, I've just seen BRT Justin really nearly absolutely stack it at turn 16, and that could have ended badly for him. But here comes Otis Lawrence as he comes up the inside of Josh Gilly and moves back onto the racing line quickly and gets the move completed. But he is struggling a little bit as Josh trying to get back at him.
Okay, just saying in the chat there, Joseph says he got damaged from lap 1, an unavoidable collision is what he said. So it's really unfortunate stuff there for Otis, and yeah, that is certainly the risk that sometimes you take when starting from the back of the grid. And yeah, that maybe explains the slight lack of pace. Just throw that there as well. Choco managed to get himself in another position. Up at the P7 he now goes. And up ahead next for him is the Shazoo driver of Shazoo Latifi.
And this is working in Visceral's favour right now. Pretty certain that Shazoo will drop back to P4 after all this. And Smokey doing all he can to lead this Grand Prix. But I think Shazoo need PSR to start getting a move on to this Ferrari. And Wilson is definitely doing that. He's found some pace again and he's really attacking.
Yeah, yes, Wilson's looking good. He's definitely keeping Smokey honest, and that is music to Shazoo's ears, because that is what they need. Those 25 points that Smokey has is absolutely vital for that battle on P3 at the moment. So yeah, keep an eye on this battle for the lead, because this could be a huge deciding factor on the outcome of the constructor standings.
Wilson stays behind for the time being. He's agonisingly close to the back end of Smokey. We've seen these two battle hammer and tong in Tier 1 of WOR for a while. And Wilson goes very wide into the entry of turn 19 there, which is not what we usually see. Passy unable to re-attack Leopard, but he is getting close on this occasion. So let's see if he does anything he doesn't. And Choco still staying 1.4 seconds behind Latifi at the moment. So it has stabilised a little bit at the moment. So we will stay on board with the leaders as they come round the first sector for the 9th time tonight here at Miami, and for the final time of Season 1 of Legacy Division. But so much still to be written. And at the moment, I don't think the other little battle we've got going on, Amin and Novus, well, Novus really need Amin to start pushing on a little bit and getting past Choco and really start getting into that P4, P5, P6 position.
Yeah, it's quite bizarre, isn't it? We might just see Velox still finish 5th in the standings, even though they're only there for the first 5 rounds. That's quite impressive. We've also got World Online Racing Esports, who are sitting pretty in 10th place in the standings. That will look, I think that might look pretty dead on as well. So yeah, congratulations to those teams, because those positions look pretty certain. But a position that doesn't look certain at the moment is this P4 Leopard, coming under a little bit of pressure now from ETE Passy, looking like a little bit slower at this point in the race. But Passy, he doesn't seem to be too keen to get past, and as it stands, is possibly happy to sit behind the Red Bull. But Leopard does defend there. It forces Passy to the outside, but not an awful lot came out in there from Passy, and yeah, it looks like Leopard should pretty convincingly keep that position.
So look at it from the Passy point of view as they start down the back start-finish straight, on lap 10 here, and Passy's going for the outside line, and Leopard pushing him wide a little bit, and that is given Latifi a little bit of a moment to try and attack Passy. Surely not. They're side by side through the first sector, but Latifi, I think, is going to have to concede the position, but it's just allowing Choco to get involved in this as well. This is not ideal for Shazoo. Latifi trying his uttermost to get through turn 7 into turn 8. That little kick to the right there, or to the left into the right. And as they go down towards turn 9, here comes Passy again, looking quite quick, quite rejuvenated after being overtaken by Leopard. It's going to happen into turn 11. They're side by side, but Leopard's got that inside line.
He does, but it might not mean too much as it turns to the inside here for Passy. He's great racing between the two of them. Great respect here, Leopard in this final race of racing, and he's certainly getting stuck in here. But Passy is side by side through the chicane. You don't see that often. A bit of room left between the two of them. Latifi as well, he's in the wash in the background, but these two still going side by side. In the end, it is Passy who does come out on top, but this isn't over yet, remember, because this long straight as well is giving Leopard the DRS advantage. Can he try and make a move here? You've got Latifi as well in the background. He's looking to get stuck in, but Leopard, he moves out to the inside and he's looking to reclaim that P4. I don't think there's a hell of a lot Passy can do about it. It's Choco going down the inside as well. That was very ambitious. There's a bit of contact with the Alpine of Passy as well. Choco is absolute kamikaze move there. A bit more contact and he's nearly lost it. He's just about kept it on the track, but he's unfortunately lost a position to Amine, and that was 0-0 in a matter of moments there for Choco as he's found himself down in P8. And we're just looking as well. Passy with more contact with Latifi. They spun round. Latifi spun round with Passy. The two of them. Oh, that was a bit of their own way. Bit of their own making there, unfortunately. Passy's down to P10. Latifi, he's well and truly out of the points.
And all of a sudden, Shizou's chances are up in smoke. Leopard P4 has the gap to Amin, with Choco having to get past Amin again. And all of a sudden, Novus are in P5. I swear I said that's where he needs to be a few laps ago. But it's unfortunate for Passy and Latifi, the ETE and Shizou driver, giving great racing, but costing themselves big time. Leopard 7 seconds away from the lead, nearly 8 seconds away from the lead, and I think Choco is going to eat up Amin right now. It's that close.
Yep, I'll tell you, that battle was fantastic for VS Sarazor. Choco all over the back of him there. Big mistake from Amin, and I think that is just going to tee up a pretty simple move here for Choco. You just see how much quicker he is. That straight line speed as well on his side. But yeah, pretty chaotic that last lap was there, and it's a shame, unfortunately, it ended in a collision, because for the most part it was all pretty amazing racing.
This is wow, incredible lap 11, sorry, that was a yellow flag, and that is Dodo. Is that into the wall? No, he is going again. So no safety car, thankfully, for that, because that would have been an incredible turn of events on lap 12.
Yeah, no safety car just yet, which is pretty surprising, I should say, for the state of league racing sometimes. But maybe I'll jinx it, and that's probably sometimes a good thing. This race starting to get stretched ever so slightly, though you mentioned it. That nearly 8-second gap now between a Leopard and the top 3 isn't looking great in terms of a top 4 fight. Those top 3 definitely in a league of their own. Choco as well, he's a couple seconds behind Leopard now, and Otis Lawrence. He might have damage, but he's still looking pretty healthy in P7 now, and he's now solely closing up to the back of Amin in P6.
12 places gained in 12 laps for Otis Lawrence. He's doing what he needs to do right now and catching the Novus Racing driver Choco 2.1 seconds behind Leopard for the time being. This is the battle that we are watching at the moment. Otis just dropping outside of the DRS as Josh Gildy picks up a penalty in P8. Yeah, back into it as well. Latifi re-overtaking Halo as they come through. There is a damage to Latifi's car. There isn't. And there we go. Down the back straight, Latifi is 3.8 seconds away from Passy, and 3.8, well, about probably 5 seconds away from points, and that's not what he needs at all, as here comes Halo up the inside well before the corner of turn 17, and cementing some nightmare racing for Shizou right now.
Yep, and that's Otis Lawrence up into P6, and men are really struggling at this point in the race. I don't know if there's maybe a little bit of damage to that Haas, but there's certainly something that isn't clicking anymore, because he's just losing a bit of time now. But a big mistake there from Otis Lawrence, and that is certainly not going to do his lap times any favours.
I swear, at the exit of turn 3 there, Otis was so close to the wall and just destroying his car. I'm getting close to that now, but not happening right now. Leopard, I think, maybe struggling a little bit, because it's 1.2 seconds to Choco. Choco's really turning up the heat a little bit in this battle. Farfo into the pits, and the two EOL drivers at the back of the grid right now. Let's have a look at the tyres that people are on. No major changes. Farfo onto the mediums, Martin's onto the hards to end the race. But Otis Lawrence has a little bit of a train behind him at P6.
Yeah, you don't hear that often. I think that damage would be slightly not helping him, but remember he just made that move on him in, and I think he'll be looking pretty soon to try and get that gap out of that 1 second range. I think Min's really struggling at this point in the race. I mentioned it earlier on, but I think it's still pretty valid now. And I think it's now Josh will be looking to try and size up a move anytime soon. But Otis Lawrence are going pretty deep into that final corner once again, making another mistake, and yeah, that certainly isn't doing him any favours.
Definitely not indeed. Let's have a look at the leaders again. Smokey doing an incredible job holding station in front of those guys. Martin's picking up a penalty in P17 right now. But yeah, Smokey holding the PSR guys up at the moment. But at one point, one of the PSR drivers is going to trigger the undercut. And that's going to maybe scare Smokey a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be intriguing to see how it goes. Obviously, these PSR guys need to make sure they're pitting at different points. I'm sure that'll be well communicated between the two of them, so one can go long, one can go early, or yeah, something like that. So they've got the advantage here in terms of strategy, and yeah, they just need to make sure they can make the most of it. The two PSR guys are looking really strong, but the pace is certainly there for Smokey as well. So yeah, really close to call in this front three, and yeah, it should be pretty good to see how it pans out.
A little bit of swapping of places between BRT Justin and Josh Gilly right now as they're starting to lose ground with the drivers ahead. Josh Gilly trying his best to get some sort of overtake done, for taking BRT Justin, but points for BRT will be happy nonetheless, as I don't think Wilson's doing too much there. And LCR Leopard again dropping off a little bit from Choco, and Choco's starting to make an attack maybe onto Leopard as they go through the turn 17 into 18 and 19 and into the pits come Choco a little bit earlier than I was expecting.
Yeah, very early in the race. I thought maybe 16, 17, 18 was around about the point. But what do I know about it all? So there you have it. Choco onto the medium tyre. Hard medium, the pretty obvious call here. And yeah, he's got a little bit of a shift to do now. On those mediums, they'll actually take the mediums longer. And he took the hard compounds of tyres. But I'd imagine it is possible. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have done it. So there you go, Choco out into the pit lane. He's got clean air as well. So yeah, they should keep an eye on Choco because he could certainly be a threat with that undercut he's got.
Harv desperate to find a way past Amin right now. He's sniffing all the way through 6 to 7 and 8, but couldn't get too far, or too close. Farfo getting the fastest lap of the race for the time being. Harvesting for Amin as they head down the second DRS straight here. Does Harv look to go to the inside of 11? He thinks better of it, but there is some question of ERS usage for Amin right now, as he's got that Alfa Romeo all over the back of him.
Yeah, he does. He's not looking great. It's hard, unfortunately, getting a 3-second time penalty. So that has misery. So that's now 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Oh, got 3 seconds to their name. So yeah, not looking great for them. That might cost them a few positions near the end of this race. He's looking up front. VSR smoking into the pit lane as well. So he's reacting possibly to his teammate or just going off his own back there. But he is certainly covering off any threat of an undercut, and he dives off into the pit lane there. So pretty early call wins again from VSR. But yeah, Smokey just making sure he isn't at any risk from an undercut.
A fair few drivers now doing that pit at this lap. Otis Lawrence being one of them as well. But very, very odd that both PSR drivers deciding against it. And LCR Leopard, they're driving their own race clearly. But this is going to be a very interesting end to the Grand Prix. We're lap 16 of 29. Thankfully, we've had no drivers retire as of yet. The only driver that hasn't been able to make it is Placky. And unfortunately, he had a power cut. So he's not racing tonight. But Choco flying high at the moment as ETE Passy getting past Josh Gilly, but immediately getting re-overtaken. And there is Smokey. This is not going to help Smokey at all with these drivers squabbling away. He's trying to get himself through this as well. And let's look at it from Smokey's point of view. He's boxed in. He can't find a way through. He goes to the inside now. He's got the pace, but right now he can't be dealing with this. This is going to cost him a huge amount of time.
Yeah, Joe, he's dealt with it fantastically. The way just a little bit held up on the straight, but other than that, he managed to thread the needle very nicely. And yeah, through into P6 he goes now. So very well done, calmly done there, I should say, from Smokey. Like I mentioned as well, Otis Lawrence, he did have a wing change through that pit stop, so maybe that's why he's a little bit further out or further back than he would have expected. But just keep an eye on his pace now, because I think he can be a serious threat for this top 5 now, because the pace, as we all know, is certainly there. So yeah, just keep an eye on that Mercedes of Otis Lawrence as this race progresses.
Yeah, Passy's trying to stick close to Smokey as best as possible. Actually, he's going into the pits this time around. No pits for Leopard, Connor or Wilson. They're the only ones yet to pit. This is going to be very, very interesting. Let's look at the tyre strategy for these guys right now. Smokey, 5 seconds behind Leopard, and that is not what Leopard probably wanted to hear at all.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's really looking good for these guys in the medium runners, and yeah, certainly it's probably a couple seconds clearer of that now. I'm not too sure what the idea is for the guys out on the hards, or a couple of laps now later, especially Choco, who pitted the earliest of them all. So yeah, I'm interested to see if they do something different. Maybe they go for the soft tyres. I'm not too sure, but yeah, there you go. Certainly going for something different. Otis Lawrence at the moment, wow, up into P12 through that S section he goes there, and yeah, that's certainly an ambitious move there. But he's looking pretty ambitious at the moment on those medium tyres. So I'm just going to stick on board with Otis Lawrence actually, because I could have a triple overtake written all over it here as he comes onto this straight now. Some of these guys in fresh medium, some of them in old hard. There's a big moment from Meat Barrow there as he's trying to get on the power as early as he can. He knows he's got Otis Lawrence behind him. I don't think there's a hell of a lot he can do about it. Round the outside, Otis Lawrence is going to be going, but he's just not got the straight line speed at the moment to try and get the move done. So it maybe have to be done on the braking. There's a couple moves get made up ahead, but the main one, see how Otis Lawrence, around the outside he goes, it turns to the inside, and there you have it, P11 for the Mercedes.
Wilson pits. I wonder if we're going to see Leopard pit as well. They're going a lot later than expected, but Otis Lawrence pretty much pushing some of these drivers around. He's already going alongside. Typical as they go down this back straight. No pit stop for Leopard. Wilson is in. Smokey, fastest man on the track. There's an overtake happening in front of Wilson as well. That's Amin getting back past Justin, who has yet to pit, I believe, or Justin has pitted actually. Otis still up the inside of Typical. Typical's fighting this, but I don't think there's anything he can do. And Otis Lawrence now behind Passy, and into the pits goes Meatball. And yeah, Otis Lawrence giving us some action right now. Wilson, 2.5 seconds behind Smokey.
Yeah, as you should to mention that, Smokey's done fantastically there with that undercut and certainly made the most of it. And that is probably a bit of a head scratcher there for PSR Connor as well. He'll probably be coming a good bit behind him as well. Leopard as well. All not going to be looking great in terms of track position, and they've certainly got a little bit of making up to do when they jump onto those medium compounder tyres. Just looking once again with Otis Lawrence, see if he can try and get another move done here. He's looking fantastic at the moment. That full front wing is certainly giving him a new lease of life in this race. He's a little bit far back to Passy though. I'd be really surprised if we've seen a move this time around. He's slowly creeping up, but I'd imagine it'd be a bit too late to make any sort of move. And yeah, oh no, maybe not, maybe I'm wrong there. He goes down the inside, Otis Lawrence goes. He's even caught me napping it was that one of a late move, and round the outside he goes. That was an Otis Lawrence masterclass if I've ever seen one. And there you have it, up into P9. What a move that was.
Otis Lawrence was not wanting to be behind an Alpine for that much, well, for too longer, though it might have cost him with DRS, because Passy's going to have the DRS into the pits. Is Connor. Leopard staying out. Leopard's trying something different. Let's look at it from Otis Lawrence's point of view as he looks behind. Passy hasn't got the pace at all, and just ahead, Justin getting past him in. Justin, he's impressing me at the moment. He's doing a cracking job getting that BRT into some good point scoring position. Connor 1.4 seconds behind Wilson, and Wilson is losing ground to Smokey, and Smokey is catching Leopard. I think Leopard is having to do something different here to try and get Shazoo some points, and I think he's just hoping for a safety car.
Yeah, I've seen it many times before with Leopard. There are a few times I can think of. I want to say Monza was one, I'm not too sure. I think he stayed out pretty long in that race and then got a safety car that came his way. It's something that was seen a couple of times from him. And yeah, he needs a lady luck to be on his side tonight, or yeah, it could be a pretty tough one for Shazoo, because as it stands, it will be going to the way of VSR. Smokey's looking fantastic tonight, and yeah, as it stands, Leopard really needs to try and pull some tricks out of that book.
And he has been caught in hand over fist by Smokey as well, is Leopard. I wonder if that overtake for the lead is going to happen down the back straight while I watch Otis Lawrence really attack. He gets close, the dots get close, but I don't think it's close enough, so I'm going to stay on board of Otis Lawrence for the time being as they round the tight section, and Otis Lawrence attacks Amin and Justin. I'm sure it's going to happen, and actually Smokey is the fastest man on the track. Leopard goes defensive as they go into turn one. He's holding on. There's wheel banging between the two. And there is unfortunate Leopard dropping out of the lead for the time being and nearly spun it. But thankfully, he had great car control there. But Leopard having to do something special tonight.
Yeah, just looking at Otis Lawrence at the moment in the battle for P8, he's definitely in the wars. Down the inside he goes into turn one. A pretty simple move that was for your drivers and constructors champion. And next up for him is BRT Justin, and he looks pretty feisty at the moment. And I think he could get this one probably before the end of the next straight.
Yeah, it's looking very, very tidy from Otis Lawrence, and BRT Justin's struggling a little bit with where he's putting his car. And Otis Lawrence, it just looks like he's sizing him up ready to make a move. It's half a second at the moment as they come down, turn into turn 9, that little kink to the right, and then the little kink to the left, which is turn 10. And he's catching his... Oh, the overspeed on Otis Lawrence is huge. He is incredibly quick through there, and Justin just drops in behind.
Yeah, Justin defended the inside, but it's almost like he was just paving the way for him, how much quicker Otis Lawrence was there, and talking about it as well. PSR Wilson up into P2. Unfortunately for Leopard, that's another place lost. And those hard tyres certainly aren't looking too rosy these days. I wonder if he dives into the pit lane now, but oh yeah, there you go. He's off into the pits. He's had enough of those hard tyres, and then yeah, it might be the softs, I would imagine, now for that Red Bull.
Yeah, it's looking like it's soft. He had to do something a little bit different. Passy and P10 then having a look at Amin, but nothing doing at the moment. And where is Leopard? He's behind Choco massively. He's going to be behind Harv at this rate, I think. And even battling away with Otis Lawrence, and that could not be ideal. I think LCR Leopard might be out of the points here. Shazoo in trouble, and Leopard has put on a fresh set of mediums.
Yeah, I think Leopard tried something, but it's just certainly backfired. He's going to just about, I think, hang on to P10 to come down the pit lane now, and that is a pure disaster for Shazoo. There's nothing else to say. P10, P14 are well off it tonight, and yeah, VSR, it's looking very good for those two guys.
Yeah, Choco in P4 as well. 6 seconds after all the issues he had is back up there as well. He probably would be much happier being a little bit higher up, being sitting where PSR Connor is right now. Passy and Amin swapping places, but Passy on a recovery drive, and it all seemed to go wrong for Shazoo when Latifi and Passy collided.
Yeah, it certainly did. It was a little bit chaotic. I'm not too sure who was exactly to blame, but yeah, a little bit scrappy all around. And I think when you've got so much on the line, it's maybe not worth it putting yourself in those positions, especially from Latifi's point of view. And I think, in hindsight, on reflection, he might be kicking himself ever so slightly there. But his teammates well, Leopard, I'm not too sure about that strategy call. He went and left it so long, and then just to put himself in some fresh mediums. I'm not too sure if that was the right call. Obviously, hindsight's a fantastic thing these days, but it's maybe just not worked out for Leopard, and unfortunately for him, unless something drastic happens, this P3 is going pretty convincingly to the way of VSR.
Yeah, VSR doing a fantastic job. It always was going to come down to this race for some championship final positions for the constructors, and right now Visceral are in prime position for third place, but Leopard crucially is getting that 1 point to put himself into P2 in the championship. He needed 1 point, and he's got that 1 point at the moment.
I'm not too sure how much you'll be thinking about that one, but yeah, happy days. If you're Leopard up into now second place in the standings, I think he was only getting beat on count back, if I'm right in saying. So yeah, it's good stuff there for Leopard. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on this battle for the league. They've not really seen an awful lot of on-track action, but Wilson has done fantastically well to gain to the back of Smokey. And yeah, I've been intrigued to see if I see a little battle between these guys near the end of the race. But yeah, as it stands, there is it's all pretty much stalemate at the moment, and Wilson is happy to sit behind that Ferrari of Smokey.
A little bit of a weave, I think, there, just to remind Smokey that he's there. He gets close, but nothing doing on this occasion. So it's some interesting strategy from Wilson. He's just happy to sit back, isn't he? He definitely helped by Leopard holding up Smokey as they went through the whatever stage you can call it, the Leopard stage of just holding up. But Leopard is catching up to the rest of this battle. ahead of him. He's going to have that super fresh tyre right at the end of the race. So we might see some Leopard overtaking late on. I believe he did. Leopard went late in the pits for the first time at Miami in WR Tier 1 as well. So might be method to his madness.
Yeah, there definitely could be. I think a top 5 is probably a little bit ambitious now, but yeah, I think P7's definitely there for the taking, especially when you look at all those 3-second time penalties that have been applied. So yeah, it could be looking all right for Leopard men, but maybe not exactly what he did want, especially the position he found himself in at parts of early stages in this race. Just looking as well, Otis Lawrence at the moment, he's pretty much flying a second a lot quicker than Harv ahead, and I think, yeah, there certainly could be a battle brewing there for that top 5 position.
Wilson looking a little bit racier through turns, well, from 11 to 16. And I wonder if he's trying to size up a move on Smokey this time around. I don't think he is, actually. He's dropping back again. I don't think it's going to be anything doing. He looks to the inside, just, again, maybe getting a bit of fresh air into that car, but nothing really doing for Wilson this time around. And there we go, LCR Leopard picking up a penalty. That's something we don't see every day at all. And that means, as things stand, he will stay P10.
Yep, is not what he needs to do. He needs to try and get the elbows out when he gets to the back of that pack, and he now has to make some moves. It's not enough to just sit behind and talk about elbows out. I think there's a little bit of a move there. Passing it up into P7, he gets by the McLaren of BRT Justin, who's unfortunately dropped down into P8, but it's not over just yet. Justin's got DRS, he's got ERS as well to his advantage. He pulls over to the inside, and what can Passy do about that? Justin, he breaks late, but maybe just a little bit too late there. It leaves him slightly vulnerable to that undercut there, the switchback from Passy, but just not enough there. And Justin, in the end, he manages to reclaim that P7, and yeah, very nicely done from the McLaren.
Yeah, looking like it's working well for Passy right now, but not fully well. He's a good recovery drive, I think is what I was trying to say there. He's getting himself back into it, but it could have been so many more points for him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's especially when the position that his esports team found himself in, they scored 20 points all year, and I think he could have probably near enough got half of that in one night, but yeah, that's just unfortunately how it goes. Incidents happen in League Racing, and yeah, he's looking to try and avenge that right now, going round the outside into the left-hander, but can't make that one mark. So he's going to go for the switchback around the outside of the right-hander, but he can't make that one mark. And I think this is a pretty painful section to go side by side, so yeah, you're going to have to look at the back adjustment for just at least a couple more corners.
Yeah, Leopard caught up to the back of him in as well. So action still happening throughout the grid, and Passy trying to find a way through. I wonder if he'll hold back this time around on Justin as they come down this back straight into turn 17 in the hairpin, or whether he will go full hammer and tongs like he did last time. And there was a little bit of a lag glitch there, so I'm glad he didn't career into the back of that McLaren, because that would have been quite painful to see. FGE Halo then holding up Josh Gilly and Shazoo Latifi in the battle for P11, holding station at the moment, but no points to write home about there right now.
Yeah, there's nothing too much brewing at the moment. I think it's just this battle for P1 is I'm just teasing us all race. These guys, there's not been a lot of battle. I don't think I've actually had any battling between the top 3 drivers. It's just all been sitting behind and just playing the patient game. And Wilson, it's a prime example once again. He's just sitting up behind Smokey. He's not looking to make any move. He's happy to save the EIs, save the tyres, and then maybe with a couple of laps to go, I think there could be some fireworks getting set off at the front.
Meatball picking up a penalty there, 3 seconds for him. Yeah, there is 20% ERS better in Wilson's favour than Smokey, so he is saving and attacking when he needs to, and just making sure he stays within that DRS for the time being of Smokey. But Connor is slowly catching these guys, these lead 2 drivers, which might help PSR quite well at the end of the race.
Yep, especially if these two start to fight, that certainly could play into Connor's hands, but it's not looking to be happening as it coming into turn 1. You see how close Wilson gets, but he kind of backs off himself. He's just not interested at all. But possibly a couple laps to go for these to have a proper scrap. Connor, he's certainly in the mix. I'm talking about proper scraps. Justin and Passy, these two still going at it. Passy around the outside, a bit of contact between the two of them. A little bit of a wobble on the rear of that Alpine, but I think Passy gets the moves on up into P7. And yeah, Justin, there's not too much you can say about that one.
Yeah, this is weird. Weird stuff. It's cracking stuff between the two, ETE driver and PRT driver, right now, and Passy, I think, has managed to get through that quite easily for now. And let's see if he can pull away. Same level of tyre wear on those two cars, but I think they've just been jolted because LCR Leopard is careering in on them, 1.2 seconds behind. Let's go back on board with the leaders, see how close this goes. And at the moment, 41% for Smokey on the ERS unit, and Wilson up into 70%. Wilson's saving for a big end of this Grand Prix.
He has. I think that's kind of the benefit you get when sitting behind another driver. It's a huge benefit. You can just sit behind. You don't need to use any ERS. He can choose when he wants to push. You've not got any threat from behind as well. And with 3 laps left in this race, you'd expect that he'll be using this for any time soon.
And here come, well, I don't want to say enter the world champion, but the world champion is catching half as a rate of knots now. It's 1.2 seconds between the two drivers, and Otis is doing everything he can to battle his way through this. He started at last on the grid, don't you forget it, and he had front wing damage as well. He could be so much higher up. There's a yellow flag, and surely not. That can't be Amin. It is Amin. He's around, and I wonder if there's front wing damage to that car. There is no front wing to Amin's car. All the hard work he's done tonight, undone. And now down to P10, and is going to fall like a stone.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a for him, and yeah, he's going to be outside of the points now. And yeah, all that work, as you said, has been undone. But he'll, happy days for him. He's going to find himself in the points paying positions, and I'm sure he'll be pretty happy about that. Just looking as well, this battle for the lead, it's certainly starting to heat up now. Wilson, there's not too much of an actual attempt, but he's certainly there, 3/10 behind him. And if I was a betting man, you'd certainly be putting all your money on Smokey, on Wilson, I should say. But here we go, Wilson. It looks like he's certainly started to unleash the reins now. Smokey, what can he do? But Wilson, he pulls off to the inside. I don't think there's a hell of a lot Smokey can do about that one. PSR Wilson, he takes the lead of this race.
Yeah, and he makes Smokey have to go into the corner wide, but I don't think it's cost Smokey that much time because it's only 2.6 seconds. He's going to stick to the back end of this Williams as they come down the start-finish straight. Willie throw it up the inside. He thinks better of it, but he's holding station right now, and this has got to be advantage Wilson. Lap 28 of 29, the penultimate lap of the race, and Wilson's made his move.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Smokey, unfortunately, he's not got the race. I think Wilson's maybe slightly quicker as well at this stage in the race. So, yeah, it is certainly advantage Wilson, but a lot can still happen. Wilson, now, as he's got a bit of a defending to do, Smokey in the DRS, he's going to get to use a bit of that ERS as well. The ERS now a little bit more even. Wilson's used a bit in this last lap as Amin, unfortunately, he's out with this race. And, yeah, that is not what you want to see. It's a little bit later on in the race, so no safety car, fortunately. As yeah, only till about a lap and a half left, so yeah, it's a shame to see Amin out of the race.
Justin then 3-second time penalty as well, so penalties galore at the moment. There is a battle for P7, which Leopard, Justin and Passy are all involved in. A battle for P5, which Otis Lawrence is trying to get himself into a 5th place here. And at the moment, Wilson just pulling away, but is it going to be enough as they head down into turn 17? It is for the time being. Smokey hasn't got anything left, but don't forget he's 2 lap older tyres than the Williams ahead of him. But look how close those two get as they go round turn 17. Very close. And Smokey not as close as he was last lap. He's got to start thinking of doing something here because they are on the final lap of Legacy Division Season 1.
Yeah, I think Maurice must be good friends with Wilson or something, or Wilson's paid him off because he's actually gave Wilson DRS to. He's staying ahead of the Williams once again. It possibly could be giving him DRS once again. That's slightly controversial if you're in that VSR camp and there's a race win on the line. But you look at the pace of Wilson here, I think you might just see him back off now. And yeah, there you go, I think he will. And Wilson will not have that advantage for the DRS, so it is all going to be on his own back. But the pace is certainly there. I don't think Smokey can do a hell of a lot now if he wants to take this race win.
Yeah, PSR Wilson is flying at the moment. He's throwing everything at this. Smokey is doing likewise as well. They're pulling away from Connor in P3 as well. Connor's driven a fantastic race. Do not take that away. But this is deep into turn 12 there for Wilson. And that might have saved VSR Smokey a little bit. Smokey is back at this. He's going to throw everything as they come down the final straight. Smokey, half a second behind. He's dropping, though. He's dropping, and I don't think it's going to be enough. He's going to be derating very soon. He's using all his ERS as they come down this straight. It's 0.6 of a second. It's over for the race win for VSR. I think Wilson's going to have enough. There's no ERS available for Smokey. He comes into the final corner. So it's all about Wilson. Wilson's done everything he needed, and a little bit of help from Maris, but Wilson's your race winner in the final race of the season. Smokey cements the third place for VSR, and Connor will come home, well, maybe coming home after that crash into the wall in P3 with Choco. Great recovery drive for him. Otis Lawrence does get past Harv in the end into P5. Harv then P6. LCR Leopard side by side with Passy. We missed that. That is gutting to see, but the LCR Leopard in his final race in Legacy Division in P7. Passy in P8. Justin getting points, P9 there. And rounding the final few corners now is FGE Halo. FGE will get a point in this race.
Yes, wow, it's an absolute chaos on that finishing line there. Farfo as well, he's going to come across the line in P13. Happy days for him, I suppose, if you're happy with that one. Levi Martin's quiet race for him. He's going to come on P14 and he's going to add to that pretty crazy pile as they come all across the line. Meat Burrow as well, he's in P15. Next up is typical quiet race for him. The Englishman, he'll be happy with that one. And yeah, P16, he's coming home across the line. The only thing that'll be coming home for England anytime soon is he comes home in P16.
I can't believe you managed to throw that in there. I thought we got away from any sort of England thing there, but no, you've done a good job in bringing that in. Anyway, Otis Lawrence getting driver of the day. I think it'll be difficult to say not to, actually, with front wing damage as well.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's a great point for him, and yeah, I think he can certainly get that accolade.
We will wait for everything to pop down and have a look at the race winner. Wilson has done a fantastic job tonight so far, and I'm not sure why it's taking so long to get to the final grid positions and everything. I think it's because everyone leaving and everything, but hey, it's been a great race, hasn't it, Callum? And you know, a little bit here and there in places, but I think it's what we deserve to end the season with. No safety cars, but look, a fair whack of action.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a clean race, and it's good to see it. You don't see it a hell of a lot now in league racing, so yeah, it was a good race. We nearly got everyone making it to the end. I'm in, unfortunately, failing to do so, but yeah, it was a good race. It was pretty fierce racing at points. You could tell it was the last race of the season sometimes with some of the battles going on, but yeah, we've got a worthy winner in Wilson. Smokey will be happy as well in P2, and yeah, it is a very good way to end out the season.
Let's have a look then at the final finishing position. Wilson takes the victory here with Smokey alongside him, and Connor coming home in third place, rounding out the podium. Choco then in fourth place, with Otis Lawrence starting 19th on the grid, finishing fifth. Sixth place to Harv, seventh place to the veteran, I suppose we could call him now, and the retiree of LCR Leopard, and the driver that takes second place in the championship. Eighth place is ETE Passy, ninth to Justin and Halo. Rounding out the point scoring positions, we had Josh, Latifi, Farfo, Martins, Meatball, Typical, Dodo, Maris and Amin rounding out the rest of the finishers. Amin does classify because he retired so late, but it's a great race nonetheless. And it would be amiss of us. Actually, I won't go for that one. Let's go to the world champion page. Obviously, FRA have had a fantastic season, haven't they? It's been an incredible season for them. But we've got to, give it to PSR and the drivers there, because they've kept Otis Lawrence very, very happy. At his best through the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think PSR certainly have worked well as a team. They've really been the driving force that have gave FRA a run for their money, and I think if it wasn't for them, I think FRA would have won it a long time ago. But I think PSR have a really strong roster. We've seen that tonight as well with Connor and Wilson. So yeah, it's a huge credit to PSR. As much as they might not be happy with second, I think they can certainly class their season as a success. Okay,
we have at least one driver here to speak to us a podium question, so I'll hand over to you and to have a chat.
Yeah, well, first of all, Connor, congratulations on the podium. Just talk us through how that race panned out for you.
Thank you. That's pretty boring, to be honest. But just had to keep behind Smokey, and then I let Wilson by 'cause he was obviously quicker. And then, well, I should have pitted a lap earlier so I didn't just completely lose touch with Smokey and Wilson. But obviously I did pit a lap later, and then I was just in a world of my own for the last bit of the race, to be honest.
Yeah, you mentioned it there at the end. Were you surprised at how far you came out after those pit stops? Were you shocked to find yourself so far behind your
Mm.
teammate and Smokey?
Uh, well, I was quite surprised with Smokey because we did stay out to well, we saw he was in a train, so we just thought he'd get held up, so we went for the overcut because we don't want to be in we don't want to be in that train. And then yeah, that's not what happened, and then he came out miles in front.
Oh yeah, that's certainly unfortunate. Well, that's all from me. I'll pass over to Warden if he wants to ask any other questions.
Connor, it's the end of the season. PSR, a relatively strong season in the Legacy division. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't for Otis, PSR would have scored more points. But do you feel it's a successful season for PSR?
Um, I do, but there are some like aspects which we could have done better to maybe put fight to Otis a bit more. But well, yeah, oh God, get my words out, idiot. It's a successful season, like overall. To be honest, P2's good. You know, we got likes of VSR to compete with, so and Shazoo. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
And it's pretty much the end of most seasons as a cycle now. How would you say you're, you know, looking back since the game came out? Have you been happy with how your seasons have gone in all leagues and not only of not only Legacy Division but obviously other divisions as well?
Well, to be honest, it can be much better, but I've put more effort into FIFA, to be honest, than I have with F1. So yeah, if I just play F1 a bit more, I'll hopefully get a bit more competitive and finish higher, obviously, in all the leagues.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations, and I saw you take a wonderful position in the WR versus PSGL event as well. So
Oh yeah.
you will definitely go down in history in that one, in the first one. So congratulations, and yeah,
Thank
good
you.
luck for the next series of seasons.
Yeah, cheers.
Callum, it's nearly time for us to say goodbye to Legacy Division for this season. It's been um, incredible. We can't just say that Otis Lawrence has run away with it because he has. He has. He's got a massive amount of points. But it's not just been about that. It's been about the racing that we've had as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fantastic all season. We've got to see a variety of drivers. It's the kind of love of a team championship like this. You get to see so many different people compete for their teams, and we've seen some pretty amazing races throughout it. We've seen some pretty big moments as well, of course. And yeah, for first ever kind of iteration of a teams event in WOR, I think it certainly can go down as a success.
And I suppose for the final time this season, actually, let's go with, before I go off on a tangent. Could you give driver of the season to anyone other than Otis Lawrence?
Oh, that's a very good one. Oh, who would I go for? I would probably go for. This could maybe a bit of a strange one, but I'd go for Wilson. And maybe there's a little bit of recency bias coming in there, but I don't think we've seen him race a lot this year. I don't think he was a constant. But I remember, I think he raced at WR at the start of the season. He was very strong, and then he got the 2 wins for PSR as well. And it's the 2 times I've not seen Otis Lawrence win. I think it was 3 times I've not seen Otis Lawrence win this year, and 2 of them have been picked up by Wilson. So yeah, I think Wilson could probably pick up my driver of the season out with Otis Lawrence.
Fantastic. You know what? You probably wouldn't be wrong with that one. I might agree with you. You know, maybe Leopard as well. Shazoo probably weren't looking at a driver. Weren't looking at second in the drivers' championship, and maybe they were looking for the top three. But the fact that they've got fourth place is still probably pretty good for the Shazoo team. So yeah, maybe Wilson top, and then Leopard just behind. But for now, any final words to close out the season and the race, Callum?
Yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you to you and obviously Luke for giving me this opportunity. It's been a pleasure getting to call and say on what has been one of the best grids on Xbox. And yeah, we've seen some pretty great moments. We've seen some pretty dull races as well along the way. But yeah, certainly a great highlight of mine. So yeah, just a huge thank you to everyone. And yeah, hopefully looking to be back next season as well.
It's been a cracking one. Thank you so much to yourself as well for sticking by me for the majority of the races this season. I know it's never always easy because I do go off on tangents, but it is one of those, and you've done a fantastic job. So thank you for being my right-hand man through the season. Legacy Division Season 1, I didn't start it as the commentator, but I definitely finished it. It's been a fantastic season in the Legacy Division. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of those, definitely to go down in the history books because it's the first one. So much seen. I don't think we'll ever see a driver as dominant in the Legacy Division. If we do, I definitely will be watching it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for everyone that takes part in the Legacy Division behind the scenes, getting everyone in, the drivers. It's been absolutely incredible. Even with the controversy that we've definitely had at times, it's just one of those things. And here to many more seasons to come. But for now, from Callum and myself, and Connor, who's still in the commentary box here with us, thank you so much. To next season, let's hope it's just as good as this one.